Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we're taking our first quick look at the Magifox. All right, now a lot of people have been asking me, hey, when is the new video come out? How do I build this pet? And honestly, I was hoping to have the full video out for you, quicker than I'm going to. The bottom line is, ever since Zone 2 opened, we've just been nonstop fighting against our opponent in Zone 2. It's the Viking Alliance. Full credit to them, a lot of fun. It doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon, but I figured, hey, I owe it to you. Let's get out the first quick video, at least a first quick look at what this pet is doing, okay? Here's the pet I'm working on now. Obviously, I didn't, catch it like this. This is the roll I got, and I think this is a pretty good roll. I'm going to stick with it. I'll explain in detail later on why I think this is good for this pet. Okay, so let's go through the skills here. Let's start with the talent skill. I think this one's pretty straightforward. Okay, it does a couple of things. First, it does a magic factor damage to the target. We'll talk about that in detail a bit more. And also ignores portions of the target's magic defense. Now, if you didn't know, all units have both a physical defense and a magic defense. If you see a modifier that just says defense, it reduces all the defense or increases all the defense, depending on the modifier. But if you see a target that specifies either magic or physical defense, then it only works on this half. Now, look, this only ignores magic defense, but look, this is a magic pet you're going to be using with the Magic Legion. And so the bottom line here is this is fine. It does everything you want it to do. Okay, so the second part of this war pet, what it does is it builds up these little stacks of Phantasm Mark every time you inflict a debuff with an innate skill. And just remember what's an innate skill. Those are the 5 fixed skills that every hero has that basically never change. It does not include their talents. It doesn't include things like artifacts, etc. All right, as you build up these debuffs, the next time your war pet does its rage skill, it ignores more and more of the target's magic defense. So a maximum of 5 stacks. So this can max out at 75%, and you've already got the 10% there. So this thing can ultimately ignore 85% of your target's magic defense. All right, that's pretty good, okay? Okay, I want to talk through the base damage on Foxfire here, and this will be important later on. The base damage factor on Foxfire, 0 stars, not modified by intelligence, is 21. Obviously, that's going to get a lot higher as you have good intelligence on your pet. Obviously, that's going to get a lot higher as you star this up. But at base damage factor of 21, let's compare that to some other war pets. And I always like to start to compare it to the Sapphire, because that is sort of your base magic damage pet. Damage factor 30, all right, substantially better at the 0 star. And you say 21 versus 30, that's not a big a difference. Keep in mind, this is all going to scale upward, and at the high levels, this is a big difference versus the Magifox, right? The Shadow is slightly better at 22, and you look at the Seraphic, it's exactly the same at 21. Okay, now obviously these things have modifiers to them, but just keep in mind the base damage factor on Foxfire here is pretty low. Okay, let's talk about some of the other skills here. We'll start with the Amber skill, pretty straightforward. Just has a base increased damage to Foxfire. Honestly, I'm pretty underwhelmed by this Amber skill. It's an intelligence skill, and we know already, since the talent skill is an intelligence skill, that we're going to be fighting for limited intelligence slots on this pet. And this is just a base damage increase to your main skill, which doesn't have a great damage factor anyway. This is okay. It's nothing better than okay. On the other hand, Intense Foxfire, this is super strong. Basically, anytime you put a debuff versus that innate skill, right, you're going to get Intense Foxfire off. This is a separate damage factor, and it's going to, the base damage factor here is 6. There's no upper limit to the number of times you can trigger this other than the number of, debuffs you put on with an innate skill. But like the base talent skill thinks you can sort of cap out at 5, that's your goal. So if you get this 5 times around, that's really good. A damage factor of 6 times 5, that's better than Foxfire. That's actually the same thing as the Sapphire, right? So your secondary damage factor on the Magifox, Intense Foxfire, very strong. I think this is the key strength of this pet. Okay, so who is the Magifox a good pet for? Well, it's obviously designed for the G5 mage heroes, in particular Vardun, because he inflicts all those debuffs on the enemy via his innate skills, which is really what Foxfire is looking for you to do. It's also what Intense Foxfire is looking for you to do. So my impression right now is this pet is very strong for Varden, really not great for anyone else. Now there are other heroes, other magic heroes that put a lot of debuffs on the enemy, but nowhere near like what Varden's going to do. And so I don't think the Magifox is going to perform well. For example, someone like Walder or Valen or someone like that that puts debuffs on with their rage skill, just not good enough, I think, for the Magifox. Look, I'm going to have to do more testing, but that's my initial thought. Okay, so with that in mind, what are the right skills for the Magifox? Look, bottom line is I still have to do some additional testing, but here's my first reaction. Okay, obviously you have the talent skill Foxfire. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Intense Foxfire is a must include. You have to put it on any pet you're building out, so those two are auto includes. Okay, we'll talk about the follow-up package here just in a little bit. The other recommended skills here, they're mostly on point. You definitely want Resonance. This is just sort of like your generic magic damage enhancer, sort of the equivalent of Tooth and Claw for a magic pet. Magic Fortune you have to have if you want the other skills because this is your only generic crit enabler. So I do think you want Magic Fortune. And then Magic Spirits is an obvious choice, right? Increases your crit damage. What about Elemental Harmony? I do think you want Elemental Harmony on this pet. Now, normally, Elemental Harmony is sometimes cut on Magic pets because it's an intelligence skill and you don't have enough intelligence slots on, the Magifox to get everything you want, right? Because you have Foxfire, maybe Advanced Foxfire, maybe Follow-Up, and then Elemental Harmony. On this pet, you want to take Elemental Harmony. Okay, so that's 1, 2, plus the 4 magic skills gets you to 6. So for your last sort of package here, you have 2 options, Advanced Foxfire or Follow-Up plus Advanced Follow-Up, and honestly, neither of them are amazing. Which do I recommend? Honestly, it comes down to your pet. If you only have 7 skill slots, go with Advanced Foxfire. If you have the full 8, go with Follow-Up and Advanced Follow-Up, because I do think it is slightly better than Advanced Foxfire. All right, so that's my initial reaction for the Magifox. I need to still do a lot of testing, and really, in order to do a lot of testing, I need to get to in a scenario where I'm not fighting basically every moment I can. So what do I think about the pet overall? I do think for the new heroes, it is pretty good. Something that I am encouraged by, obviously our G5 mages are built to wreck infantry, and really I think that infantry had become too strong on the battlefield. So I am happy to see this. The Magifox is really designed to enhance that infantry wreck, right? Because what it does really is ignore a large portion of your target's defense. Everyone's got defense, but no one has more defense than infantry. And so this really should scale the best against enemy infantry, which is good because it is what the G5 heroes are trying to do. Okay, obviously in the game right now, the Sand Lizard is really popular, and a question I get sometimes is, should you build the Magifox out, or should you just build a Sand Lizard for these heroes, or just use an existing Sand Lizard that you have? I do think if you build the Fox out to a high level, it is going to perform better for you than the Sand Lizard. However, I think for the new heroes, a Sand Lizard is still perfectly viable. If it's going to be cheaper, if you've already built one out and you're just transferring it from some old heroes, that's fine. Or if you want to build a new one out and you're on a budget, the Sand Lizard's good too. And then one last thing I'll say, is there a budget build for this pet? I don't think there is. This pet really is not doing anything for your march inherently. It's trying to do damage itself. And so there's really no point to building a hero enhancement Magifox out, because if you're going to do that, you should just build a Sand Lizard anyway, right? I think the Magifox is a pet that really wants you to either build it out or ignore it completely, all right? So anyway, that's my first look at the Magifox. I do think it is interesting. I intend to build mine out here, and I think it'll do pretty well. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. And until next time, you stay classy, Belron.